Hi and welcome to the squat tutorial. So I'm just going to go through the squat movement. So the squat is probably one of the most functional exercises that you'll come across. So you obviously see it in the gym environment to develop lower body strength, but it's something that we all do every day in one way, shape or form. So there's some really useful hints and tips in terms of body position, all right, coordination, and joint alignment that is going to help us get the most out of this movement without injuring ourselves. So this is a really useful kind of set of drills that I would do for complete beginners before we start to add any load to the movement. Okay, so before we start lifting any weight with the squat. So first things first, foot position is really, really important. Okay, so I'm going to go around about shoulder width apart, but actually, you know, find a position that is fairly comfortable for you. Some people like to go slightly wider, some people like to go slightly narrower. I'm not too worried about that. What I am concerned about is joint alignment. So I want to make sure that wherever I have my feet, my knees are going to be pointing in the same direction. Now, there's a couple of useful things that we can do to try and ensure that we do that. So I want to really get a nice, strong, stable base. So if you look at my feet now, you can see that my toes aren't completely square. I've actually got them turned out a little bit. Now, my right foot, I want to feel like I'm screwing it in clockwise into the floor. Okay, it's actually not going to move, but I want to feel like I'm screwing it in. Left foot, I want to feel like I'm screwing in anti-clockwise into the floor. The other thing you could think about maybe is, imagine I've got a big sheet of paper here, and I've got my feet at one end of the paper. Okay, and I'm going to try and tear the paper apart with my feet. Okay, watch what happens at my knees when I try and tear the paper apart or screw my feet into the floor. Okay, there. Now I've created tension here, stiffness here and here. And now you can see also that my feet and my knees are in line. So they're pointing in the same direction throughout this movement. That's really, really, really important, especially when we start to add load later on. So feet, knees, hips, all pointing in the same direction. I'm going to brace in my tummy, and I'm going to bend at the knee and the hip simultaneously, and I'm going to drop into the bottom of the squat. Notice how I've got a big hole, big gap here. That's really useful. Okay, that opens the hip up and allows me to go a little bit deeper. If I drop the knees in like so, see how now I'm blocked. I can't physically go any deeper. So I want to screw those feet in, tear the paper apart, and get nice alignment with my knees on my toes. Okay, let me show you side on. So here we go. What you'll notice as well is my back should be nice and straight, and the angle of my spine hasn't changed between here and here throughout the movement. Just remains the same. Okay, and there's a squat. So pretty simple. So the few things that people might struggle with on the squat. So number one is it's a balance. So, you know, a squat is a challenging exercise, but one of the things that people would really struggle with is maintaining the balance. Okay, so there's a few things that you can do. I've got a little ramp here. So the kind of things that I might normally see with somebody on the squat is they would kind of hinge forward at the hips, and that is just self-preservation to stop themselves from falling backwards. Okay, so oftentimes when people do squat, they'll feel like they're going to do that. So to counteract that, they might well hinge here. So if you feel like you're losing your balance, you can go heels up. So I've just got a little ramp here, but you could just get a couple of books at home, would serve the same purpose. So here we go again. So see how much deeper I can get now. I've tipped my weight forward a little bit, so it's just going to help me with my balance a little bit more. Okay, so it's heels up squat, which will make it a lot easier. The other option you've got is to do a counterbalance squat. So I've got just a medicine ball here, but you could use, you know, like a football, basketball, hardback book, whatever at home. So essentially, if you feel like you're struggling with balance, hold on to the ball. Remember, screw the feet in, rip the paper apart, and I'm going to press my weight out in front as I squat down. Now, doing so is going to help me get nice and low because I've got a counterbalance out in front. Okay, so press and reach. Okay. The other option is you could have a bench here and we could squat down, just so you get that little bit of feedback, and you've also got a little bit of a safety net there. So if you have to feel like you've got to sit down, that's fine. But over time, you want to feel like you're just touching and stand back up again. So touch and stand back up again. Okay, so there's a few options for you. The other thing in terms of the squat, so I guess the one thing that I say to a lot of my athletes with the squat is really try and focus on, you know, the muscles that you want to use when you're performing the task. So in a squat, it's a lot of glutes, so backside. So on the way up on a squat, that's when we're going to really work those glutes. So I want you to feel like, it's a bit of a weird one, but I want you to feel like you're holding on to 50-pound note between your butt cheeks on a windy day, okay? So as you're coming up from your squat, you're really clenching there to engage your bum, okay? So have a go at that, and hopefully that should help you out with your squat movement.